You've probably heard the story of Persephone, the innocent daughter of Demeter, picking flowers when Hades, god of the underworld, bursts from the earth and drags her into his dark kingdom. It sounds like a simple, tragic story of abduction and victimization. And on a literal level, it is. But if you look deeper, if you see this myth as a map of the human psyche, it reveals something else entirely. It's the story of how every one of us must, at some point, leave the sunlit surface of our lives and journey into the depths to find our true selves. Before her descent, Persephone is pure, uninitiated consciousness. She's living in an eternal summer, knowing only what's beautiful and pleasant. Psychologically, she's that part of you that hasn't yet faced life's darkness, its complexity, its shadows. She's the child within who believes life is only light and growth. And while this innocence is beautiful, it's also a prison, limiting who you can become. Then comes the crucial moment. Persephone spots a narcissus flower of extraordinary beauty. She's compelled to pick it, and when she does, the ground splits open. Here's the detail that changes everything. In many versions, Zeus himself placed that flower there as a trap, conspiring with Hades. This means the descent isn't an accident. It's part of the psyche's grand design. You aren't just dragged into your unconscious by bad luck. You are called by it because it's time to grow. That irresistible flower is whatever in your life pulls you into the deep. A crisis, a loss, a relationship that unravels you, an existential question that just won't go away. Persephone's abduction is like those moments when you re-forced to confront everything you've been avoiding. A depression that pulls you out of your routine. A period of grief that forces you to truly feel. A breakdown that shatters the mask you wear for the world. A heartbreak that exposes your deepest wounds. These moments don't feel like gifts. They feel like catastrophes. You're just living your life, and suddenly the ground opens up and you're falling into a darkness you never asked for. You cry out, "Why is this happening to me?" Just as Persephone must have. But here's the truth that only reveals itself later. This painful descent isn't a punishment. It's an initiation. Persephone couldn't become the powerful queen of the underworld by staying forever in the flower fields. The psychologist Carl Jung was clear on this. You can't become a whole person without descending into the unconscious. You can't mature without confronting your own shadow. A mind that only knows light is fragile and incomplete. To become a true psychological adult, you must also know darkness. In the underworld, Persephone goes through what we might call the death of the ego. The person she thought she was, the innocent girl, the perfect daughter, has to die. All those comfortable but limiting identities, all those illusions about life always being spring and flowers, must be buried. And it hurts. It feels like a psychological death. You descend into your own personal Hades when the identity you've relied on falls apart, when you realize you are not who you thought you were. The marriage of Persephone to Hades is a powerful symbol. Marriage here isn't about romance. It's about union, integration. It's about consciousness finally accepting and uniting with the shadowy parts of the psyche. It's you stopping the fight against your own depths and starting to understand them, to see them as a legitimate part of who you are. This isn't about becoming dark or destructive. It's about admitting that you contain darkness and that there's richness and power in those hidden places. Then comes the most important part. Persephone eats the pomegranate seeds. Hades offers her the fruit of the underworld, and she eats 6 seeds, sealing her fate to return for 6 months each year. Many see this as a trick, a final act of imprisonment. But a deeper reading suggests she chooses to eat them. With that choice, she shows she's no longer the girl who only wanted the surface. She has tasted deep, transformative knowledge, and there's no going back to total innocence. The pomegranate is the fruit of an insight you can't unsee. When you finally recognize a destructive pattern you've been repeating for years, you can no longer pretend it doesn't exist. You've eaten the pomegranate. You've been permanently changed by your contact with the depths. The outcome is perfect. Persephone doesn't stay trapped below, but she doesn't return to the surface permanently either. She becomes a queen of 2 worlds. This isn't a curse. It's the model of an integrated psyche. You can't live only on the surface, pretending the depths don't exist. But you also shouldn't live lost in the unconscious. Maturity is the ability to move between these worlds, to integrate light and dark. After her initiation, Persephone becomes one of the most powerful goddesses, not despite her descent, but because of it. She knows the secrets of both life and death, light and darkness. She is a complete, initiated being. This is what the descent offers. Not destruction, but wholeness. Not victimhood, but real power born from deep self-knowledge. And there's a fascinating detail about Hades that changes everything. The Romans also called him Pluto, which literally means the rich one. Isn't that ironic? The god of the darkest, most feared place is also the god of wealth and treasure. Not just spiritual wealth, but concrete riches. Gold, silver, precious gems, all the valuable things hidden in the earth. The place everyone fears is exactly where the greatest treasures are found. Think about it. Where do you find diamonds? Buried deep in the earth, formed under immense pressure. Where do you find gold? In the dark veins of mountains. Where do seeds germinate? In the darkness of the soil. Nature is telling us that the most valuable things lie in the dark, in the deep, exactly where we don't want to look. Psychologically, this means your greatest potentials, your most unique talents, and your truest strengths are often buried in the parts of yourself you reject, in your shadow. Carl Jung saw it all the time. People would discover their greatest gifts in the very aspects of themselves they feared most. Artistic talent buried under a lifetime of being told to be practical. Deep empathy hidden beneath a shell of be strong. Our culture has this backward. We're taught that growth only happens in the light, by adding good things and cutting out the bad. But that's not how the psyche works. You find gold by going down into the mine. You find diamonds by digging through the darkness. You discover who you really are by confronting what you fear you are. Imagine someone who's always been the good person, never angry, always giving in. They've probably buried their aggression, their ability to say no. But when they finally confront that repressed aggression, they often find their personal strength, their passion for life, their ability to set boundaries. The gold was mixed in with what they thought was just psychological trash. This is why people who go through deep crises often emerge with a creativity and depth they never had before. They were forced down into Hades, and in the process, they discovered psychological treasures they never knew they had. It's not about romanticizing suffering. It's just how the psyche works. Pluto guards the riches in the underworld. The real challenge is that to get Pluto's wealth, you have to be willing to get your hands dirty. You have to dig through shame, fear, and self-loathing. Diamonds aren't just sitting on the surface. That's why most people stay psychologically poor. They want the treasure, but they refuse to make the descent. And the final irony? The people who most avoid their inner underworld are often the ones most tormented by it. Jung said, "That which you do not bring to consciousness appears as fate." The inner gold you refuse to claim will control your life unconsciously. Through repeating patterns, self-sabotage, and anxiety, the treasure becomes a dead weight. The only way to turn that weight into power is to do what Persephone did, consciously descend and integrate the shadow. When you finally have that courage, something extraordinary happens. You discover you are far richer than you ever imagined. You have strengths where you thought there was only weakness. You have creativity where you thought there was only conformity. You realize the most feared place was, all along, the most valuable one. Hades and Pluto are the same god. The underworld is both the darkest and the richest place, just like your own shadow. Thanks so much for watching. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing for more explorations into the depths of myth and psyche. See you next time.